So the market always takes the most amount of money from the most amount of people. I don't know who said that first, but I see it over and over again. To counter this for myself, I try to figure out what some of the possible outcomes can be so that if they happen, it never shakes me out of good positions and I can adapt to make great money from it. I'm going to share with you some research I did 9 months ago as I was analyzing how this market might play out and what are the different options. I'm going to share with you some massive bullish news in the charts that's very exciting for all of those that are invested in the crypto market, at least for me. Let's see what you think. Welcome to the Crypto Rainn channel. I'm your host, Jay Rainn, and if you like money and crypto, and you're looking for a real investor's take on the crypto market, join the Rainmaker family by liking this video and subscribing with the all notifications button on. Special note, you know this, but I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a crypto investor myself, sharing with you how I think about the crypto market and specific cryptos. I also am invested in many of the projects that I share. Just know that I share the stuff that I like and I share with you what I like about it. So of course I'm invested in these things, just for full disclosure, but you probably already knew that. So join us, strap in for the show. Let's welcome our producer, D-Money, in the Crypto Rainn Command Center.
Hey, what up, Jay? How's it going, man?
Fantastic. I'm excited about some of the changes we got going on in the Command Center.
Yeah, for sure. Things are looking good, and it's always better to be here on an up day, right? When the market's hot. Woke up to some good news, and so yeah, let's do this. You ready to get started?
Let's do it. Join me, Rainmakers. Awesome. I want to thank all of you for helping the show grow because, we've hit over 21,000 subscribers. We hit 25,000 subscribers. We got some giveaways to do. We call them the 401Js, and these are some pre-sale allocations we got for you in some IDOs. Now, one is in Federa that has launched, and I've had them on the show talking about what's going on. Now, their price hasn't gone a lot from the IDO because they're waiting for their partners to make some massive announcements that will be coming, and when the announcements come, they'll come in fast succession. And the other one we got in the IDO for you is Cortex, and it's kind of like Facebook and Unstoppable Domains had a baby, and that's how to think about Cortex. And you can watch the interview with them from about a month and a half ago. So as we hit 25,000 subscribers, we got some big giveaways to give, as well as we're giving away 125 Juan chain every week thanks to the sponsorship from them, so we really appreciate them. We love these giveaways because they act as good supplements to your growing portfolio, and I know some are not interested at all in these and they know that their portfolio is going to make the mass of their gains, and some, I mean, it goes a long way. If you think about one, it's trading at around, it's under $1 now. So if you think about it, but if it goes to where I think it could go, and I'm going to talk about the chart on that later with what we're looking at, it could be some massive numbers. All right, so let's jump into what's going on, and let me share with you some of this research. Now, in crypto, there's a lot of economics that go on behind this and psychology, and the reason that charting works is because human psychology is somewhat predictable on massive scale, and that's the reason why we go through these boom and bust patterns and why they boom so high and they bust so bad, as well as dips are often a lot sharper than they should be, as well as pumps are a lot sharper than they should be. So to really master crypto investing, it helps the more that you understand some of the research behind what the market has done, and then a little bit human psychology and economics. So let me share my screen with you here. And I want to share with you, now I did a full video on this way back in like March, but it's a good time to pull it out, and I put the data together again and showed you some things. So if you want to look at when Bitcoin halving has happened, it's as simple as going to Google and putting in Bitcoin halving dates, and it will give you those dates. But I took those dates and I put them on the chart here. So here's the first halving, the second halving, and then the third one. Now, what I'm trying to figure out is when is the peak of Bitcoin going to be this year? Because that will give me an indication of what altcoins are going to do and how soon they might run when they run massively, because I think we haven't seen those massive runs that are going to happen yet. In fact, some of those massive runs are going to be breathtaking. So the better we can figure out when Bitcoin is going to peak, then the better we can do on understanding when altcoins might do well. So what's interesting is the very first Bitcoin halving was here in November. In fact, it gives us the exact date. It's November 28th. Yeah, so November 28th, the first halving was, and just 368 days later, or about a year later, if you think about it, was the peak of the 2013 market on the 30th of November, which would have been yesterday, 8 years ago. Now, the second halving, the halvings don't happen actually 4 years apart. It's about 3 years and 10 months. So the second halving happened in July of 2016. And 526 days later was when the peak of the 2017 market happened. So notice the huge increase in days from when the halving was to when the peak of the market happened. So the third halving was here on the 11th of May 2020. So where is the peak of this market going to be? Now let's take a look at some options. So we're going to take the ruler and we're going to start it here. And 526 days would put it here, and that hasn't happened, right? That would have been the 17th of October. And I think BitBoy was going off of this number as he was calling, October being the month, September and October being the parabolic run. It didn't play out that way. But if you do some math and you figure out that we increased almost 50% in number of days between the first halving and when the bull run was to the second halving and when the peak of the bull run was. And so this gives credence to what we call the lengthening cycles. And so if we do some math and we figure out, okay, so if it's at least 50% higher, that would put it in the 700 to 800 day range. And so that means that Bitcoin could peak out as late as April to May. Now that's a long ways away, and it's going to be a little bit hard to be patient, but just know that this is a possibility. It may play out this way. Now, if in high school or the university or college, depending on what country you're at, some they have separate colleges and then university. You might have had a statistics class, and in statistics they talk about outliers, and also when you only have a few data points to go off, it makes it hard to make reasonable predictions. So just realize we're making some speculative predictions here because we only have 2 data points, 2 past halvings followed by a peak of a bull run to go off of. So we don't know, and everyone is just trying to make their best guess. However, as an investor for 4 years, part of what helped me stay in this market and do really well, because if you stick around and you make even some mediocre decisions, you can do extremely well over an extended length of time in this space, because in general, just look at this trend. This trend is amazing. So even if you made a mediocre investment and you bought Bitcoin at 9,000, but you just held on to it, you're way, way, way ahead over time. So part of what helps me stick around and not let my emotions take over and, leave the market even when it's way down like this is just understanding the different ways that it could play out. So I wanted to share some of this research with you. Now, you ready for some bullish, exciting news? Let me take a look and see how many likes we got going on for those liking. About 20%. If you could, give us a like if you're liking this information. I know I haven't covered this in a while, but it was a good time to cover this again and just prepare, because there's some indication that this December could be hot. And December has been a good month historically. Whoa, I did not want to move that. If you look, December in 2017 was freaking amazing. Here, a lot of the action was in November, and December prices were still high, but it was actually coming down. And so when is our pump going to be? Well, it could be December. We've been hoping it would be December, but just realize this December might go worse than we thought it would be, and most of the action might happen as late as mid-January or February, March, April, May. We don't know how that's going to play out. Now, there's some trends on these other charts I'm going to show you that are very exciting. but they don't tell us exactly where the major breakouts are going to be. So what is going to happen this December? Now, as you probably know, stocks, or another term that traders use for them, equities, have been going like crazy. And the Fed chairman in the U.S. said that they're like noticing inflation. Well, duh. Like, really? Of course there's inflation. They've been denying inflation for months and months and months. They finally admitted it. And they said that they were going to probably start easing interest rates up to counter that. Well, part of the reason stocks have continued doing so well is all the pumping of cash into the market combined with very low interest rates. So stocks are overinflated and vastly overvalued in my opinion. And so they might come down. Now, what's interesting, this shouldn't be the case, but it is the case. If the stock market has a massive pullback, guess what happens in crypto? Sell off, interestingly enough. Why? Because crypto should not run in the same timeline or the same pace with stocks. Well, why is there any correlation there at all? In fact, if stocks are doing terrible, crypto is a perfect hedge against that. So why in the world would crypto sell off? Let's see if any of our viewers in the comment section have it. Why does crypto sell off, at least initially, when stocks dump? I love it. Nobi1 Kenobi. It's like I'm logged into 2 accounts giving you 2 likes. Thank you so much. You rock. Let's see. Now I know with your app you're able to see before me, D. If
I don't have anything yet, but there is a little bit of
a lag delay.
I think there's like a 20-second delay. Yeah, Nuge1234 says fear, and then Blank Bland says emotions, fear, end of the world, says Clinton Flynn.
Yeah. So a lot of the traders, they sell off their different positions. See, a lot of these larger funds, they're in both equities and crypto. And so when they cash out one, they cash out other, and they sit there and wait. So sometimes there's still this correlation. When you get a big stock dip, there's a big crypto dip too. However, that correlation is usually short term. It might be a month, it might be 2 weeks, it might be a week. And then as they reevaluate, they might see, oh my gosh, okay, stocks are ready. They've broken their support. They're ready for a big pullback. I'm looking for what other things I'm going to roll into. So it could be that stocks crash in December. Crypto takes a dive in December. And if this happens, don't let it blow you out of the space. I know we've been looking at December, hopefully for a really, really good month. As I've been looking at weakening equities or stocks, I've been worried that if they sell, it's going to dump Bitcoin initially. So when that happens, you either got to take a little bit of action beforehand, otherwise I just tend to ride it out. And in this case, I'm not going to move any of my positions. It just means I'm going to be patient longer. So I'm not going to be selling into cash. My personal strategy, I don't do the day-to-day trading. 2 reasons I don't. Number one, it creates a lot of fear, like panic. You're always wondering what the market's going to do. And number 2, I've just seen over time that the longer term traders make way more money than the day traders. So I've yet to find a day trader that is a multi, in fact, decamillionaire from crypto trading. And I know lots of longer term holders from just the past 5 years that are millionaires and decamillionaires. So that's why I don't do that. I take the longer positions. Thank you for your answers. Great job. We're up at 30 likes. Thank you for everyone liking this, and that helps YouTube know to share it out. So thank you for that. Now let me share with you some of these charts that are exciting. So I shared with our Patreon group, and we do have a Patreon, and the link for that is below. And we thank all of you who support it. You do get access through Patreon to our Discord, as well as some private videos I release just to our Patreon members. And I shared some things with them that I'm going to share some of that with you. And I'm going to share with you some longer charts. And if you follow this channel, you know that I talk about these rounded bottoms. And it's interesting, the psychology that happens behind this. And this just means the sellers get exhausted and there's more buyers than there are sellers. And the interesting thing about crypto is that more like more gains bring more people, and so you have these really, really high pumps. Now you see in the different charts, we had this early takeoff in February, March, and April. Now, truth is, part of that was driven, in fact, I'd say 80% of that was driven by Elon Musk making some people that weren't aware of crypto, which caused some pumps, and then further pumps, and then further pumps. And then notice how it came back and it settled right to this line. Now I'm presently looking at OneChain's chart. Now OneChain is one of our sponsors, but I have been holding it since way back here. And this is one of the ones I like. And look at this amazing chart with this nice rounded bottom. I'm going to share with you some other ones, these charts with nice rounded bottoms. Now this is VET or VeChain. VeChain has been going like this. Now notice my drawing skills are so-so, and this bottom isn't perfectly round. It does look slightly different if we put it on logarithmic scale with a nicer rounded bottom, but as you approach the price of 0, it really slows down in how much it's going down. But look at this roundedness, and then look at this, and it's currently trading around this lower trend line, but look at that rounded upturn like this. This is all very bullish news. This means the sellers are getting exhausted and buying is stronger than selling. Look at Zilliqa. Zilliqa, you can tell I'm not an artist. Look how squiggly this rounded line is. But if I were a great artist, it would be a lot rounder and it would really emphasize where it's going. This is some very bullish news. Now, this isn't telling us exactly where it's going to be. In fact, it could go parabolic into February or March. Remember, the market takes the most amount of money from the most amount of people. So what was important to me today to share with you, because we're building the most informed audience in all of crypto here. So if you get washed out of crypto, it's to your own detriment, right? Because you miss out on this next 5 years that can absolutely create life-changing wealth. And so if you get caught off guard completely, and then you watch the market dump, that's sometimes what scares you out of your positions. You then stop paying attention, and then before you know it, it's pumped 3x or 4x from where you sold that. And then you're like, oh, it's too high for me to get back in, and you end up missing this whole bull run. And so I had to share with you some other perspectives on how it could play out, and some evidence is backing up that it might do that. Now, another one of the secrets that I use in sticking around in this market, and it's really helped me go from thousands to millions in crypto, is understanding that I don't have like what you call black and white thinking. I keep two contrary opinions in my mind at all times. How to think about that? So I guess let's pick a controversial crypto that some people love and some people hate. I don't know why anyone would hate it, but some people hate it, and that is ADA or Cardano. And I did release a video yesterday on Cardano about should I dump my Cardano. Now, I'm not going to dump my Cardano. I do not sell good long-term holds at lows, but I've heard a lot of people saying that lately, so I needed to address it. So I keep in my mind two opinions, which is Cardano could really flounder from here, or Cardano could do really well from here. And I let the data tell me which one of those is likely to happen, and it helps me take the emotions out of this. When we're new in crypto, what we tend to do is we pick one or two projects that we really, really like, and we marry those projects, and we FUD on everything else. And anyone who presents us contradictory information, we actually hate on them. And that's why you see so much tribalism in crypto. What it is just human beings not used to investing that are new to crypto that think that if they just hate on every other project but their favorites that they're married to, that's going to help their crypto do well. An investor takes a stance, sits back a little bit, and even though we use in our thing whether we're going to marry it, one night stand, or run away from it, we don't truly get married to projects. We just hold them for periods of time because we want to be able to take an objective look at projects. So Zilliqa's been out of the narrative for a while. It pumped really, really well when all of DeFi pumped well. They had some big updates, and then they're on some big downtrends. So keep in your mind, okay, Zilliqa might underperform, or it could overperform from what the rest of the market is doing. Is today's price a good price, it's falling right along this round bottom. So where could it go? Wow, possibly much higher than the pump earlier this March, and it's at lows. Okay, so what if this trend continues and it does go really sharp? Look where it picks up and starts covering Zilliqa in this sharp drop. At the end of these, it often takes a really sharp climb. In fact, let me show you Cardano's chart so you can see what a sharp climb looks like. Look at this nice rounded bottom here. My amazing artistic skills. Do you like my art skills?
Looking good, Jay.
I'm totally. What is it? Juilliard or something that has all the artists in the U.S.
I think that's the music one.
Oh, they don't have artists.
I don't know.
Shoot, my dreams are dashed. But look how sharp that can go, right? And it's incredible when it has that blow off top. And so even though it's got this nice rounded bottom, notice that dumps bring really sharp dumps, but also how this can play out on this bigger trend, and it can go absolutely crazy. In fact, Cardano is a good one that's shown where some of the earlier pumps have been. Like, people are fudding on Cardano because it's coming back to this trend line, but everything's fine with Cardano. In fact, they'll have some big updates soon, and some dexes will go live on Cardano. It's just out of the narrative, and Cardano tends to run in different cycles than the rest of the narratives. So when it was pumping, everything else was sagging, and now it's sagging when everything else was pumping. So objectively look at Theta, right? I remember everyone talking about Theta every day. You know, some of the big channels were talking about Theta every single day, and the price was $8 and then $13 and then went up to, I think it doesn't show it here, but it seemed like it went up even higher than this. And then, you know what? It's been retracing all the way since April. So May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So, shoot, 8 months from this. And so if you bought into Theta here, this is why we don't chase green candles. You've been holding on to it possibly, or you sold at a big loss for possibly 8 to 9 months before it even gets back to your buy price, right? So when you see people, like when things are going crazy and they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I recently booted somebody from our Telegram chat for being disrespectful, not for making dumb calls, but he was calling Cryo War like it's going to go 100 to 1,000x from here. Now, Cryo War looks like a good enough game. I don't know the developers. They did something I'm not really a big fan of, but whatever. Is the game going to do well? I think it will. But it's up like 100 to 200x, I think, from its IDO price. Is that going to go 100 or 1,000x from here? Not likely. Not likely. Could it? Yes, it could. But that's chasing into green candles. And he was just like blasting that in the Telegram group. And we keep a good Telegram group. And he was actually then treating other people who had a different opinion. He was telling them they were stupid. Look, I have zero tolerance for that. We keep a great community in there. So if you want to join a great group in there, join. But don't call other people names. You will get kicked. And I asked him to tone it down, and he said, nobody tells me what to do. And I said, hey, look, you're just not a fit for our channel. Let's just go different ways. And we booted him. All right, so look at this. It's a good place to discuss with some very intelligent people that are in that group that make really high incomes. And, you know, there's this saying that's like, you know, surround yourself with 5 millionaires and you'll become the 6th. Surround yourself with 5 idiots and you'll become the 6th. And so part of the reason we created the Telegram community and also the Discord that you can become a member of if you join the Patreon is that you can surround yourself with successful people that get it, and it's going to improve how you analyze things and understand them. Because realize if you're new in crypto, you're probably also a newer investor, and learning to think like an investor doesn't come natural. It takes some hard work and some research. I want to take a second, look through some of the chats that are coming in. Homie, I absolutely freaking love Ecome, and I am very bullish on their future, and I'm patient. How's Freeway Token doing? Let's take a look at that. I'm very bullish on this one. It has pumped. We were talking a lot about it on this nice pullback, and that pullback was amazing, but pullbacks don't last for forever. We drew this nice triangle, and it was here. In fact, you know, unfortunately, I didn't get as much as I wanted in this pullback, and I did buy here. I bought some more when it came back and retested this. And it's all the way up at about 2 cents, and it really could go a long ways from here. Their actual use case is starting to come into play, and that's why you're seeing some of this, because as people deploy those Freeway tokens into their use case, they get pulled off the market so they can't be tradable. And as that continues to happen, I think this token is going to do really well. The Aubit platform, you can stake stable coins, and then you have to hold some Freeway token. And when I say stake them, you deploy them into their supercharger, and you can make up to 43% returns a year if you leave your money in there compounding. And what it's averaging is about 3% per month. And so if you compound that, that's about 43% per year. So it's the highest paying return on stable coins. So that's why that has now been available to not only the EU and much of the rest of the world, it's also been available to those in the US. And so the use case is coming into play, and the token has been pumping. Ecome, I want to look at that. I love this one for so many reasons. I've done some dedicated videos on it. For those that love Ecome and you want daily updates, I don't give daily updates on this, but there is a great channel by an analytical personality type that I like. His name is Taps Trades, Taps with 1P. So if you just Google him or search on YouTube, I really like his approach. He doesn't get overexcited. He just analyzes from the type of perspective that I like. And so Taps has become a friend. I really like him. And that's the truth is, when I want to get updated on what Ecome's doing, I watch Taps' channel for an update on all the events, because there is stuff happening, almost daily updates with Ecome and their app VV. And then soon they'll be having a VV verse, which will, if they do a good job with that, could become one of the biggest metaverses. And I really don't think that's priced into their token yet. So their token had a little double top here. It did break a little bit higher, at least more substantial, so maybe not a double top. It's come back down to 0.5 cent, and then, man, I don't know what happened, but it pumped 30% since down here. So cool. I have my bags loaded on this. I've been loading them and dollar cost averaging into them, and I have much, much higher expectations than anywhere near this price. So I'll probably start taking profits on this at 6 cents and above. All right, what are we thinking in the chat? I want to get a look. Any catch your eyes, Devin?
Let's see. No, I mean, people were happy. Valentine said, I like the house to stay clean. Well done, Jay, as far as booting that dude out. So, well done on that. But yeah, I don't know what happened with Rashad. He said his comment about Drive was deleted. I didn't see that. But I assume that he's asking about Drive.
Okay.
Whoa, hold on. We got a super chat. We better.
Yeah, we'll get back to the Drive comment. Let's look at Bob Builder. Do you think Spores right now is the best option? I bought it at 2 and 8 cents, which kind of sucks. Yeah. My worry is that only 3% of their supply is only in circulation. Would love your thoughts. Okay, let's take a second. Thank you for your support. We really appreciate that. All right, Spores.
Interesting. While you're pulling that up, Marcus DiGiovanni asked almost immediately, GA, have you been picking up more Spores? Only 2x from IDO price. Seems like it takes nerves of steel to keep adding to this position, given the state of their website, token unlocks, etc.
Yeah. So I like to back solid teams, and unfortunately, as we talk about rounded bottoms, it seems it's actually getting near the bottom. Look at this nice rounded curve down here. Now, this happens a lot of times in the early days of projects, because if we were to, let's assume their token launch date was the 29th, and let's assume that they have token unlocks every 30 days. So some token unlocks happened here. Interestingly enough, price then pumped. If our assumptions are correct, token unlock happened here, and it dumped down, and maybe they didn't have a token unlock here. Maybe they had a 30-day cliff, and then monthly vesting, and so then some more token unlocks. And what happens is projects get out of the narrative cycle is that there's not much buy pressure. And so the little bit of sell pressure that there is pushes down on that price by a lot. He's right on the circulating supply versus the max supply. I would need to see their tokenomic sheet to understand what their vesting schedule is like. Now, in the last year, a lot of projects with their vesting schedule, their tokens vest at a slow rate, maybe over 5 or 6 years. A lot of the supply comes into circulation. And so we probably will continue to see some more supply come into circulation. So my guess is we're pretty near the bottom. In fact, it's only 2x from IDO price. So most people can't even afford to sell without selling at a loss. So what will happen is, like mine, I have huge bags of spores. I loaded up back in this period, and I took some profits out in this, and that gave me a moon back. I got 100% of my initial out, and then I guess it's not that I don't care that it's retracing here. Of course I care, but I'm just numb to it because this has happened so much in crypto. Now, I remember when it was my first year in crypto, I was not numb to it at all. It's like all those nerves, like when you get a paper cut on your finger and like all those nerves are freshly exposed and the pain is really hot. So I do feel your pain that you're going through. I think you're going to be excited with this over time, and it might be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 months when this goes crazy. And I'll tell with you what I liked about the Spores team.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, and talk a little bit about the project as well, Jay, because for those people who are unfamiliar with it.
So they're creating a marketplace for NFTs, specifically gaming type NFTs, and some intellectual property out of Asia. So we don't get a lot of the marketing and a lot of the connections focused on like Canada, the US, even the UK, even though the team speaks perfect English. In fact, I think the CEO went to the university in either the UK or the United States, and he has tons of connections, even throughout Hollywood for those types of IP. But he's specifically going after a different section than what Ecome is going after. He's going after the intellectual property rights for like anime, like the huge stuff that's huge in Hong Kong, all throughout Asia, Japan, South Korea, just Taiwan, all of that. Because they spend more money per capita in Asia than anywhere else in the world, above the US even. And I didn't know it. It's like 2 to 3x so that makes perfect sense to me. So I wish I had known exactly how this would play out, because I would have sold all of it here just to buy back a whole bunch here. So I did buy some more spores just recently, and even though I'm really heavy on it, I just can't pass up these prices. And so I'll continue loading this bag, and I think we're near the bottom. If it reaches IDO price, I just have to buy way more, because I do think this one has good future prospects, but it takes a while to play out. Let me share with you another one, and this is one that I called to our Patreon members, and this is Chronicle. Now, I interviewed them forever ago, but they launched way earlier than what Spores did, and they've been around in development for longer. And so look at this rounded bottom that they had. And so I showed this rounded bottom chart, actually this exact chart, and the price was right here at like 64 cents. And then what happened? It had a price explosion that doubled, and then it's retraced some. And so I would say Spores is somewhere about right here on that diagram, just kind of comparing the two. And they've made a few announcements that I've seen of some intellectual property that they picked up. It's some stuff out of Asia that I have no idea how big that is or not. I imagine more of those will come forward and more of those will come forward. They're also going to have a marketplace so that a lot of these games or other things that want to, some of the new games being developed out of Asia, that they want to have a marketplace but they don't want to have to develop it. Spores will give them access to their marketplace. So I think their positioning is smart. They're just out of the news cycle, out of the hype cycle, and so it's the hardest to hold on when it's here. Now, back to our gentleman asking about Drive. We didn't forget about you. So let's take a look at it. Now, Drive got nailed by the India FUD, and that sucked, right? Because it started to come out and do really well, and they're having their they had their cars, and I think they were doing their live thing because they've been testing with a small group of drivers for a while, and I think they were having their launch, and so there was a lot of hype related to that. And then India started talking about a crypto ban again, and it just, I think we were having a natural pullback, and then just on top of that, it just dumped the price. But look at this rounded bottom here. Like, look how these bottoms round and then go up, right? And so we're looking at a rounded bottom. That doesn't mean it can't drop from here and give us a new lower low, but it means likely we were near the bottom of where it's going to go around this 2 cent mark. So I still have a bunch of drive. I did take some profits here, but look how cheap we were able to pick this one up. It was out of the hype cycle for a while, and I took some profits here. If your entry was here, you're going to have to be patient, and we're near the bottom, and it will be coming back up. But this is why we try not to chase into green candles, because sometimes you then get stuck holding for a while. So it's been about 16 days since this peaked. It's a good sign that it's kind of rounding up. I don't know what's going to happen with India. I know about 8 times they've tried to ban crypto there. I wish I knew the politics better. They've been unsuccessful. They were successful in actually banning it for a while, and then it was the Bank of India, the Royal Bank of India, that banned crypto. And then I think that got overturned by a judge. And so, like, now the legislature is trying to ban it. We'll see if that pans out or what form that comes in. So it does put Drive's price at a little bit of risk. But if you're looking at the price action here, this is bullish that it's probably bottoming. All right, what else do we have?
Paul asks did you get your network land?
I did. So Meld, I haven't talked about them for a while, but I got into their ambassador program. And so Meld did a partnership with Network, and all of the ambassadors were able to get into the Network land sale. And so I have some Network land. And so I did look at the pieces I got. I bought a lot. I put a lot into it. Because here's the thing, if you're able to get into these land sales on the games that have good prospects, what we've seen, and just because the past did it doesn't mean will repeat, but if you're paying a good entry-level price on it, the appreciation has been amazing. So I'd take a look at the Network land and see what prices it comes out at. We're seeing the base price for the smallest units on Axie Infinity and on Sandbox trading for about $15,000. That's the entry level, as well as I haven't looked at the Decentraland land to see what their base price is, but let's see, OpenSea. Okay, we want to look at Decentraland. Let's take a look at it. See what I only want to look at buy now. Price is 3,100 mana. I forget what mana is trading at. I think it's also about 15K. So just under $5. We're going to pretend that's $5. Okay, so about 15K on Decentraland as well. So Axie Infinity land, trading about 15K. Sandbox land, yeah, about 15K. So that's kind of where the price floor is on stuff that's reached that higher level. Now, Network's made a lot of partnerships. They've raised a lot of funds to build out their universe. They had already been in development of their universe before they even did a token raise, which was early this year. And so they've had a lot of time ahead of a lot of these projects coming out now. And so their land, I think, will do pretty good, even their entry-level land. Also, check out Gaia's land. They're going to have a land sale coming up, as well as Cornucopia's. These are all ones I'm following very closely. So these will probably go up from here, but the entry-level price or floor price is already so high. I'm looking for deals, right? And so things that are cheap now that might be a lot higher later. I was able to get one piece of land in Amber Sword. Amber Sword I've covered in the past. In fact, I had their team come on and speak to us, and the first sale, it was an utter disaster, and I was competing like everyone else, and I tried to buy a big piece, and the transaction got stuck And so I got nothing that whole time. I wasn't able to cancel the transaction or to then get some of the smaller pieces, and got totally locked out on that one. They did a second one where you had to apply to get into the land sale. And yeah, they were nice enough to let me buy one very small piece. So I'm like, well, that's better than nothing. Yeah, so I wish I had some land in that. I think that game's going to do tremendous. And I haven't even looked at the marketplace and see if you can buy Ember Sword on a marketplace. We can look here and see if it comes up. Ember Sword badges. No, I'm not seeing. Yeah, that's probably a fake there. So, not seeing it for their land. I have no intention of selling until the marketplace is very vibrant. In fact, because I just got one, I probably won't even sell that one. So I am a big believer in some of these land pieces. Now, it is important to take profits while you're ahead, because you never know. The crypto winter may affect the land prices. They may not. And so it's never a bad idea to take some gains while you're ahead. In fact, one of the people in our Telegram group, I think he's also in our Patreon group, one of the projects we talked about, 3X, and he took profits, got his initial out, and then it crashed right after that, not back to where he had bought at, but he was like, whew, I'm so glad I took profits while I was ahead. So it's never a bad idea to do that. What else do we got in the chat?
Well, while we're talking about metaverses, Valentine, he asks, do you have any opinion on the metaverse that Microsoft plans to create? I'm unfamiliar with that. Do you know anything about it?
Yeah, they're focused on like office space and office products and people working together and that kind of environment. It'd be interesting to see where that goes. Microsoft hasn't burned credibility. In some ways it has over the years, but like Facebook is also going for something that's more along the lines of like the gaming side / like social networking side, but I'm pretty sure Facebook's burned their credibility with most people in that we don't trust giving you even more data about ourselves, because you're just going to sell that data. We're looking for a more decentralized option where we control our data. And if we lend it out for use, like I did a video with genomes, and where you can get your genome tested and done for $500, and then you can actually make passive income on that, but you get to select which research projects can then use that, and they pay you to use it. And so that's where Facebook makes tons of money. So they're all excited. They're seeing all these dollar signs. Man, we'll be able to get way more data on everyone if we build this metaverse and we get everyone to use our metaverse. But we've kind of realized their scam of it's not really free. In fact, if we say something they don't like, they're even going to close down our account. So we just don't trust you, Facebook. Great that you're going this direction, and it's created a big pump in a lot of the metaverse stuff. Thank you for that, but we just don't trust you. So Microsoft, we'll see what they do. That is more along the line of work collaboration, and I haven't seen them burn their trust because they charge for their products. So they're not saying free and then selling our data to everyone. So Microsoft is kind of like, well, do I want Microsoft Word, or do I want this? Do I want that? So at least you have a better idea of what you're getting with them.
Hey, just a reminder to people in the chat, if you can give us a little bit more than just the name of the project, if you want us to talk about it, what do you like about it? Why are you bullish on it? Let's talk about... I
wanted to pull up Soulbank.
Yeah, somebody just asked about it.
Now, I address question on this more than anything else of the different ones, and people ask, so different narratives run in the crypto space, and one of those narratives that hasn't run in a while, DeFi hasn't run in a while, but a longer while, is the privacy narrative. The privacy of, you know what, I want to be able to keep my transactions private. Because think about your bank account. What if your bank account was truly open ledger where anyone could see every transaction through your bank account? Well, sometimes you just don't want people to know how much money you have. Sometimes you don't want them to know where you're spending it, right? Well, do you realize in crypto, once people get your wallet address, they can see all your different transactions. And so as the world goes more to crypto, what's going to be important is more of a privacy narrative of doing things, having wallets in ways where You can keep some transaction. In fact, maybe you can keep all your transactions private. So SolBank falls in that narrative with a privacy wallet that you'll be able to keep transactions private. In fact, they'll also be doing a bridge between Monero, which is like the ultimate long-term privacy coin that's been out there, to the Solana ecosystem into their wallet so that you can bridge funds from Monero, which is the ultimate slap in the face to those that hate personal privacy, because bridging that, so it's strongly in that narrative. Now it's a risk. They didn't raise a ton of funds when they did this. A lot of their funds they raised from private sale investors. They did a very small IDO, and they didn't raise a lot of funds. It was total, from what I saw, like 2 million. And so and most of those funds aren't in circulation. It is somewhere above their IDO price. I don't remember where their IDO price is. I think it started to get pretty close to it at this 2.5 cent mark. But it went up. It is forming this nice double bottom. So I don't have a drawing tool on this. But if I were able to, I'd draw this W. I call them W's. But what's key in the W is that the second leg of it doesn't go as far down as the previous leg. So it's forming a nice W pattern. And it's looking like probably there's some more sell pressure here. But probably that sell pressure will evaporate and buy pressure will exceed it. And my guess is it takes another run. But congrats those that are following us that bought down here and took some profits up here. What I like to do in these types of higher risk things is I did make a small sale. I missed this, unfortunately. I made a small sale right around here that took some out because I wanted to roll it into Sol Lend. And so, I got some of my money out. But I'm very heavy in this one still. I probably have $30,000 or $40,000 in this little small cap altcoin because I think it could go very big from here.
And if my memory is right, I think that they're supposed to release like a test version of their wallet this month.
Yeah.
So that should hopefully give a little bit get some good news, right?
Yeah, totally. All right. Isola, please check the dump.
Yeah, Napster, he asked, should we hold Isola as it has dumped after the Solchix IDO?
I didn't sell mine. I was tempted to sell a little bit going into that because it pumped the price, but I'm just holding that. Look at all these rounded bottoms because we're going to have this massive, massive run, and we see that here, and, it's really pronounced with, I lost it, one chain. This nice rounded bottom, and it will go absolutely berserk at some point. And it may not be till March, April, or May, and it goes absolutely crazy. So a lot of these smaller cap ones will do really well, and Isola will do really well if I see it spike up pretty well. For those of you who haven't figured out how to search these Solana ecosystem tokens, the best place isn't CoinGecko, it's nomics.com. That's NOMICS. And so Intersola is a launch pad on Solana. It's not even the biggest, it's a smaller one. And so had a really big run. We started covering it here, went crazy. I took a little bit of profits here, thank goodness. And then I used those profits to buy back in as gone down. But look at this nice kind of rounded bottom here. And my guess is it might come down a little bit more from where it's at. But we're seeing this general thing where the sellers are getting exhausted. And probably it'll take a run up from here. Now the Solana narrative was going really strong when this ran out. And then Solana shut down for 10 hours because it couldn't handle the transaction volume. And so everything in the Solana ecosystem dove. And so it really cooled the Solana ecosystem narrative. And almost everything has slowed like this. All right. Jay, we need you to start selling some merch. That would be fun, right? We've talked about that. We actually made some more investments in the office. We actually got a new lens for the camera. You're seeing the angle change. A lot of things in the office, the command center that you don't see have changed. And then we're actually putting some monitors behind us. So we bought 4 monitors that we're going to mount to the wall, and we're going to make them act as one. And so Dee will have control of that when we have guests as well as other things that we want to share the visuals. So our nice glowing Bitcoin will go away. But we'll be making those changes. And then maybe we'll be able to focus on some merch, maybe something. What are some of the things you want us to say, like buy when it's boring? is a big thing that we say. I'm curious to hear what you would like to see merch of. What, unique things do I say? Because I have my own system, and this system just comes from being a trader myself and recognizing what works and doesn't work, and then trying to find a way to explain that to all of you. Unfortunately, when I was doing crypto 4 years ago, there were a few that I followed that I liked. They don't quite look at things the way I did, but one of the ones I followed in 2017 that I liked was Crypto Crow. I felt like he was very real, though he was somewhat new as well to the space, but he had a background in mortgage lending, so I could understand that coming from such a real estate investment background. But, I mean, a little bit it was new people, so the blind leading the blind. And though, we often make assumptions that because they have a YouTube channel that's big, they know what they're talking about. And Crow, I still to this day like the way he analyzes and breaks things down, but we're also both more experienced in this market than we were in 2017. In 2017, I made some mistakes. I tend to learn from my mistakes, so I don't repeat them very often, or if I repeat them a second time, I do not repeat them a third. And so a lot of what I share with you is just ways to explain to you what to avoid. Like, buy when it's boring, don't chase green candles. What are some of the other
so
things
we've got some good stuff.
Make it rain. I want some
Making it rain. Valentine says wife changing earnings. And Dougie Collinson says nice rounded bottoms. That's what we're all into. Is nice rounded bottoms and wife changing earnings.
My wife helped pick out some stuff for that because she's not real scared of because probably there should be a girl in that picture too.
I don't know that you say this. This is fun though. Napster says boring to roaring.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I haven't said that. Boring to roaring. Maybe that's coming up. Sweet. I wanted to share with you. Okay, so we're talking about Wanchain, and look at this chart. And so one of the things I try to do is, this wasn't available back in 2017, of getting passive income on things that you're waiting to appreciate. So I have been utilizing the heck out of that on this. And this is Zookeeper. Now, this is on the Wanchain network, and you can go to zookeeper.finance. Now, in order to get this working, you can connect it to your MetaMask. I think now, if you go to that, or if you go to wanswap.finance, yeah, it asks to switch to this network and everything, right? It will now automatically connect up to your MetaMask, and it will allow you to just agree and put MetaMask or Wanchain right into your MetaMask, which is really handy. So you can buy Wanchain on Binance, you can buy it on KuCoin, and send it here to your wallet because it also acts as gas. So I've been a believer in Wanchain since way back in the charts here. I started picking it up when it came down, maybe there. I think I loaded up on it around 17 cents. And then I bought some more and ended up with, I think I had about 80,000. Now, interestingly enough, no, was it even 80,000? It might have been. I can't remember the number, but actually it was only about 20,000 I put into Wanchain. And look at what the value is now. But one of the things that I've been doing is I've been farming on Wanswap and Zookeeper since way back in February, even January of last year. And so if you look at the total value I have now, it's $107,000 in this pool and $11,500 in this one. And so I have it deployed in decentralized finance, or DeFi. For those of you that are new, DeFi can be very confusing because it's like, what does that really mean? So I'm going to take just a second to explain to you what it is. So I funded my Wanchain wallet and I sent all my WAN to WanMask. Now I suggest you use MetaMask, but at the time that option wasn't there. So I sent it all to Wanchain in their WanMask thing. And then I had to then swap half my tokens for, say, WASP. Let me I'm going to pull open another window for you because, okay, so I had to add liquidity to these pools, and I have some videos that go way in depth of this. So I guess I don't have time because we're at the 2-minute warning, to go into that. So let me share with you, like, look at these passive returns that I get a harvest all the time. The transactions are extremely cheap. If that were a 1 right there, that would be 1 cent. So it's like not even 0.1 cents. And update that, and that allows me to harvest that. I can then swap that into on-chain if I wanted, those harvest rewards of Zoo and Wasp, and then I could send them back to the centralized exchange and turn them into something else. I could come to WanSwap and I could swap my Zoo for something else. I could swap it for wrapped Bitcoin, wrapped Doge, wrapped Link, wrapped Sushi, all of these different options here. Wrapped USDT, and so like if I max this out, these are some, so $214 right there just from some harvest rewards. What I have been doing is rolling them into this pool and sometimes more into this pool just to make more rewards while I'm waiting for WanChain to appreciate. So it's a great place to be, making some passive returns on something that's also, in my opinion, going to appreciate. All right, that's all we have for today's show. I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you're ready to level up your crypto game and you haven't subscribed, join us. It's going to be a wild ride. Commit to the 5 years. Become a Rainmaker with us. And Rainmakers are those that commit to this 5-year program where you'll make some great gains if you make some smart decisions this bull run. And then if you make some additional smart decisions by taking profits and harvesting some of that to have some stable coins on the side for when the bear market comes, you'll have liquidity ready to deploy when prices are at lows, and then you take that following ride up, and that is what creates life-changing wealth. Now, you might make enough smart decisions that you make some life-changing wealth this cycle if you then harvest it, but if you give yourself the time over a 5-year period to benefit from 2 cycles, having stuck around during the crypto winter, you up your chances of massive returns substantially. So join us for this 5-year run. It's going to be wild. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Came into the space chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, shit, buy before you could. Was told to buy when it was boring, like a Rainmaker should. Buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss. Cause I always make the time in mind. I sit the one out cause I'm patient like that. And I'll wait for the right time. I sell when it's high, I buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a Rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't lead with my heart. Principles are simple, they're leaving a mark. Buy when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling, got parabolic, then dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a Rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes it time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a Rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. The time is never better, the time like the present. This next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, to study and to know that nothing comes easy but when knowledge you gain show. Sticking out this wrong cause soon will come a bear market. Learning and growing and when it's slow will be the target. They say it's come out, Bitcoin